Hi guys, how's everyone doing tonight? Oh my gosh, check this out. This is like a miracle. I am right on the dot on time. Woohoo! Mark this in your calendars. Hi Gail, how you doing? Hi Cecile. Hi Utter Nutter. Thank you guys for being here, moderators, and nice to see you, Gail. Let's see. So I'm gonna have to wait a few minutes for people to log on because I don't think the people are used to me actually being on time here. So how are you guys doing, Cecile and Utter Nutter? Thank you guys for everything that you've been doing. You guys are really so helpful with your moderation skills. So I'm gonna go put on, actually I forgot to put this in the community post. Hi Joan, how you doing? Nice to see you, sweetie. I'm just going to go pop in the community post real quick that we are here. Let's see. No, I haven't done a live stream in a few days. I've just been kind of taking it easy. As you guys know, I haven't been feeling so hot ever since I've had coronavirus. And I took Utter Nutter's advice and Jones, everyone's, and decided to just take a little time to myself, which I think was a good thing. Let's see. Go to, so I'm just putting this in the community post really quick to let people know that we are going live for those that do not get the notifications. And I don't know why people don't get the notifications. I heard that if you I hate to say this, unsubscribe and then resubscribe yourself right away, that will tend to trigger the notifications. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I would certainly hope that it is. Let's see. Let's see like this. Just give me another minute here. There we go. Okay. Oops. Okay. So come back to the live stream here. Awesome. So hi, Colby. Oh, hey, Kiki D. Thanks for being here, sweetie. Hope you're doing well. Oh, you have strep throat? Oh, that stinks. Strep throat can make you really sick, too. Yuck. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Hi, Donna G. How you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. So, let's see. So I have listed the top 5 reasons. I changed it to the top 5 reasons that I believe, and many people believe, this case still needs to be discussed and that this case still needs to be investigated officially, not just talked about by us here on YouTube, but officially investigated by law enforcement. And, I think that they really are compelling reasons. And, I see people, counter this idea on YouTube saying, oh, no, you really need to give it a rest. And I mean, I do understand. I think their intention usually is, oh, they want the family to be left alone. But I really sympathize with that because I don't want to be bothering the family either. Not at all. But the fact of the matter is that we are all part of either the justice system here in the United States or the justice system as, democracy is upheld globally. And I really do believe that it is not only our right, but our obligation as citizens of the United States or of the world to be bringing injustices to the attention of law enforcement and to be doing what we can to have these injustices corrected. So I feel like that is what we are, for the most part, doing here on YouTube when we are talking about this case, because there are so many people on other channels, subscribers, people just, following this case that understand justice likely was not completely served here, and that needs to be corrected. Hi, Mary. Thank you for subbing. Nice to see you, and thank you so much for being here. Hi, Dave BMX11. Thank you for being here too. Hi, Ellen. Nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Yeah, right on, Wendy. You got it, girl. That is what we are doing here. So while I'm waiting to just see if some other people are going to join, what I'm going to do is, well, my reason number 2, I so the title of this live stream is a little bit mistitled right now. I'll go back and change that. But my number 2 reason for, citing this case needing further investigation by law enforcement is due to the way it was handled by law enforcement themselves and their lack of honesty or sort of just transparency when presenting the information about this case to the public. So I'm going to play you a little bit of DA Rourke's press conference. This is a press conference that was happened right after the sentencing here, okay? Let's see. There we go. Okay, so right here, what you're going to see, it's the end of the representative from the Frederick police talking, and then DA Rourke is going to take over that mic once again. Woohoo! You go, boy. You go.
If you will ever receive closure on this horrific act of evil, I just pray that our efforts have brought you all one step closer in doing so. Thank you.
As you all, I'm sure, are aware, the defendant in this case this morning was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, plus a 48-year sentence for the unlawful termination of a pregnancy as it relates to Niko Watts. He was also sentenced to 12 years on each of the 3 Class 3 felonies for unlawful tampering with a deceased body, those being Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. All of those counts ran consecutively for a total of 3 consecutive life sentences plus 84 years in the Department of Correction. This afternoon, with the cooperation of the Will County Coroner, the autopsy reports will be made available and become a public document. There are a few things that I want to talk about that you will see that are contained within those autopsy reports. I'm going to be very general at this point. I hope you understand, out of respect for the Ruzeck family who is still present. Part of the reason that we kept these sealed were for the following reasons. You will see in the autopsy report of Shanann Watts that forensic toxicology testing indicated that in spleen blood, there was a blood alcohol level of 0.128. I want to be abundantly and very, very clear about this. This does not mean that she consumed alcohol, nor that she was intoxicated. We have consulted with the Will County Coroner's Office. We have conducted with the forensic experts at the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. To a person, they have all indicated to us that blood alcohol level is very, very consistent with normal human decomposition based upon the location and the manner that Shanann and Niko's bodies were buried. Secondly, you will see in the autopsy reports of Bella and Celeste a number of different substances. I think is probably the way, Mr. Blesh, that I want to address those. We have had those examined by both expert chemists as well as the coroner's office, because we wanted to make sure that all of those substances could be attributed to the crude oil and the water that their bodies were found in, and nothing more. The forensic experts confirmed for us that all of the substances found in those toxicology reports are consistent with being submerged in unrefined crude oil. Mr. Blesh, any other comments you want to make about that at this point?
Covered it well, sir.
Thank you. Other than that, I'm happy to take questions. Obviously, from our perspective, justice was more than served this morning. The defendant is now headed exactly where he belongs. which is a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. So I'm happy to take questions. I'll certainly call upon Mr. Blesh. Also, what I can tell you is that because of a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is we're not operating in the CSI TV world, oftentimes we can't determine exactly when or a time frame for cause or time of death. Particularly, I think that was complicated by where all of the different bodies were found and the amount of time that passed before their remains were recovered.
I agree.
Well, we know that they were deposited in the locations where they were found in the early morning hours of August 13th. They were recovered on August 16th. That's the best I can tell you from a time.
The girlfriend you referenced in court, can you give us a better idea of her role in the investigation, how forthcoming she was in that deal?
She originally came forward and spoke to investigators on her own volition. Prior to the time, unfortunately, that she came in and spoke with investigators, she had deleted all of the information off of her phone that had any connection between her and Chris Watts. That hampered the investigation. That hampered our ability to get that electronic digital connection between the two.
Oh. What happened here? Oh, I said, got it. This was my video. Okay.
She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part, she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations. We don't have any reason to believe that she had any prior knowledge or involvement in the death of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Niko. I think that's the best way I can answer that. Yes, sir. She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part, she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations. We don't have any reason to believe that she had any prior knowledge or involvement in the death of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Niko. I think that's the best way I can answer that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought nothing.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
14, 15 weeks.
She was interviewed on multiple occasions. I believe that for the most part, she was forthcoming in the course of those investigations. We don't have any reason to believe that she had any prior knowledge or involvement in the death of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Niko. I think that's the best way I can answer that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What information is it that you're specifically looking for?
How and why? And I don't think he'll ever answer those questions. Like I said in the courtroom this morning, and I think that the Ruzeck family said it very, very well as well. I don't think he will ever tell us. I don't think he will give an honest assessment of why he did what he did, how he did what he did. I intentionally called upon him to see if he would answer those questions in the courtroom this morning. Both his mother and through their attorney, his father said they hope that he will be honest to come clean someday and give us an account of what happened. Because I think, like I said this morning, those are the questions that will always haunt anyone who is involved in the investigation. And I don't think that there is ever going to be a satisfactory answer for anyone, not the least of which is the Ruzeck family.
You mentioned the second before is the Delivered Act. Why do you believe it's the Delivered Act? You planned this before the night of?
I don't have any information about any pre-planning or anything like that. Obviously, something like this in my mind doesn't just happen on the spur of the moment. But what I alluded to this morning, as it related specifically to Shanann, was the amount of time it takes for one human being to strangle another. And perhaps Mr. Blesh wants to comment on the timing as well. That demonstrates an incredible intent to cause someone's death. He did that 3 times. So to say that this was anything other than a deliberate, intentional killing is inaccurate, to say the least. Yes, sir.
You described Mrs. Watts as
you took a long time for her to die. Was there any defensive wounds on Mr. Watts? And can you have any evidence that she was asleep? Or
He had one small mark on his neck that was observed the night he was originally interviewed. We don't know if that's related or not. But other than that, no. We had him photographed from head to toe that night, and nothing was observed that would be consistent with injuries to him as a result of a struggle.
Yeah, go ahead.
the original plea deal isn't the one you guys reached today, correct? Can you elaborate on what that would have been?
To be clear, there was only one plea deal, and it's that's the one that his attorneys brought to us. The deal, for lack of a better word, and I frankly despise that word, no offense. The agreement that was reached was he would plead guilty to every count we charged him with. In exchange, if he pled guilty to each and every count in the complaint information, we would not seek the death penalty. That was an offer brought to us by the defense. That's when I've talked about this before. Mr. Wren and I felt compelled to get on a plane and go see the Ruzecks in North Carolina, because that was a conversation that I was only going to have with them face to face. Go ahead, Carol. No, it didn't. Yeah. Sorry, I meant to. Yeah, we'll go back behind first.
There's a letter that's circulating on social media that apparently Chris sent his family a week prior to the murders, where he's saying, if anything happens to me or the girl, I would have been able to my daughters. Is there anything to that? Is that legitimate? And it seems to me it shows that he was planning this at least a week ahead.
You're seeing a lot of puzzled looks up here because none of us have ever heard that. I've never seen that on social media. I confirmed just by the look on his face with Detective Baumhover, we have never seen and nor heard of any such letter or its existence before. I'm sure that if it was in any way, shape, or form real, we would have heard about it. Go ahead.
When you were describing some of those very gruesome and horrific details, the judge himself even seems to be a little bit emotional.
Right.
Can you talk to us about what that's like to you standing there and seeing him have that kind of reaction?
It's not something that I relished. Mr. Wren and I and Mr. Miller, the assistant DA, met at my house yesterday for several hours to talk through the comments that we wanted to make. And we all recognized that in order for the court to impose a just sentence, a fair sentence under the circumstances, that he had to know as much information as we could give him in a respectful fashion. Like I said, he had never read most of that. He had seen an affidavit which had some of the very preliminary information that Detective Baumhover put on paper. But I felt like it was important for the judge to understand the horror that was involved in this case, even though in the end of the sentence, for the defendant, it's not going to matter if he gets 1 consecutive, 2 consecutive, 3 consecutive life sentences. It doesn't matter in the end what number is attached to the end of those. It certainly matters to the Ruzeck family. It certainly matters to law enforcement and to my office. And I hope it matters to the public. When we're saying, you know what, there is a sentence that was imposed today that is reflective of the actions he took as to each and every one of his victims. Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm remembering correctly, you all searched the location where the bodies were found before Mr. Watts had admitted to you all. How did you determine the location of the bodies?
GPS.
How did you know where to look?
On his work truck, he had a GPS device that showed the path of travel that he took when he left his home that morning. It showed at various increments the time that it would have taken him to get to various spots. So the CBI, FBI, Frederick police knew where he had gone immediately after leaving his home that morning, which caused some of the initial searches with drones and foot searches. Only after he gave us that information did they have a more specific place to look.
Did you appear to text his coworker that he could take the morning shift before or after murders?
There were text messages on Sunday afternoon, 8 text messages, I should say, between he and a coworker talking about the work schedule. The investigation that law enforcement conducted indicated that wasn't necessarily out of the ordinary, but in conjunction with everything else we know, became an important fact for us in his efforts to have time to dispose of the bodies in the manner in which he did. Yeah, go ahead.
I was curious if during your investigation, if you guys found any evidence, anything suggesting that he'd have violent tendencies?
No.
Any mental problems or even low intelligence?
No, none of the above. Yeah, Kevin.
Sounds like from the statement of Mr. and Mrs. Watts, that they may have met with your people from your office over the weekend. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
What you shared with them, what you talked about?
Mr. Wren met with him.
When the court issued its order recognizing them as victims under the Victim Bill of Rights, our office agreed to meet with them, and I had met with them for several hours last night with their attorney that was present in the courtroom today, and one of our victim witness assistants. We had what I consider to be a good conversation. It was awkward and tough in some respects, for obvious reasons, but I think ultimately they wanted to know the facts that we know, and they wanted to know what was going to come out today. And they felt like they had been deprived of that information, and so consistent with our obligations under the statute, I provided them with that information, and I think it changed their perspective a little bit on what was going to happen today.
As you know, a week ago, they were questioning whether their son actually had done all of these things. Did you feel like this sort of brought them to a place in terms of how they're thinking about it?
I do. I think in the middle of that conversation that they came to a realization about the extent of the evidence that we had and why we were making the decisions we made, why we charged them with the things that we charged him with, why we were so convinced that he committed these crimes and that it didn't happen the way that Chris Watts had initially told the police. And so I can't speak for them per se, but my impression from our conversation was that, and I think it's consistent with what they said in court today, is that they're in a little bit different place emotionally and as to what they feel their son did, and they're trying to get their head around that, which has been difficult and understandably so.
Yes, please.
Watts originally gave a narrative that's in the arrest affidavit. Did he ever give a different story after that?
No. The story that you all have had from the affidavit in which he falsely claimed that Shanann had responsibility for the death of the two girls was the only statement that he gave until his pleas of guilty in the courtroom.
And then was the PSI ever done or any psychological evaluation?
No. Well, there was no PSI done. There was no reports done between the time of his guilty plea and today's sentencing hearing. Yes.
The judge mentioned that this is one of the most vicious crimes he's ever encountered. I was wondering how you would characterize this crime over the course of your career.
Exactly the same. Absolutely horrifying. All of us standing up here, I think, have dealt with a number of serious crimes, but when you take a look at this one and you take a look at the death of those children, and like I said this morning, the death of Shanann, none of these things had to happen. And the manner in which they were disposed of showed a complete and utter disregard for any kind of human decency at all. Yes, sure.
This started out as a missing persons case. At what point did Chris Watts become a suspect?
Very, very early on. Many of the things that he was saying just weren't quite adding up. The Frederick Police Department, the CBI, the FBI did an amazing job from the very outset to begin to focus on him, and rightly so. I think that you saw in a matter of 3 days a gruesome triple homicide, including a pregnant woman, solved, is a testament to the efforts of the men and women who participated in this investigation. I think it was very clear from the outset that he was responsible for this and frankly was pulling the wool over the eyes of the media, to the extent that anybody in the media believed him. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
What were some of the things that he said that weren't adding up?
Well, everything from the fact that she was, they were still in bed sleeping when he left the home in the early morning hours to go to work, yet her vehicle was still there, her car keys were still there, her wallet, her purse, her cell phone, which she never went anywhere without, were all still inside the home. The home, when law enforcement arrived, was locked up tight from the inside. The only way that the law enforcement could get in was getting Mr. Watts there with a garage door opener to let law enforcement in. There was no way anyone was going to get into that house as a stranger, do something to that family, and get back out and leave the house locked up in that manner. I think that was probably the most compelling thing that struck law enforcement almost immediately. Yeah, go ahead, Cece.
He also made some phone calls early the morning of the 13th, first to the children's school and then to a realtor, which were very odd and inconsistent with the rest of his conduct that day and what he was telling the media and police.
Is there any life insurance policies?
There is, and I know that that's going to be still the subject of some probate proceedings.
As far as the beneficiaries?
You know, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I apologize. I don't remember the answer to that question. Okay.
Did you talk about restitution? Because it served you. Is there any hope that there's going to be significant restitution?
There will be significant restitution because, amongst other things, the burial expenses for Shanann, the girls, and Niko obviously will be covered under that statute. We recognize that when someone goes to prison for the rest of their life, their earning potential drops off dramatically, but a portion of any earnings that he has in the Department of Corrections will be used to help pay back that restitution to the Victims' Compensation Fund.
Would you have preferred the death penalty in this case? And if so, why did you not pursue it?
Christopher Watts certainly deserved the death penalty. We thought long and hard about it. We had a lot of discussions within our office, and what compelled me to accept the defense's offer was meeting with those folks in North Carolina. When Steve and I sat in their kitchen and we explained to their family the state of the death penalty in Colorado, the possible future of the death penalty, as we knew an election was coming up, and the likelihood that an execution would occur anytime within any of our lifetimes, not being a high probability. And when I brought up the offer that had been extended to us by the defense, and when Sandy leaned across the table and looked at me very sternly and said, "And why haven't you done that yet?" That helped solidify in my mind that this family needed some closure. We were able to get that for them this morning.
Okay, so I think that, whoops, let me stop playing that in the background there. I think that that's a good place to stop as far as I'm concerned. You know, one of my problems with the way that law enforcement presented with such great certainty to the public and to the families, you know, that things went down, you know, a certain way, meaning they believe that all three victims their lives were taken at the residence at 2825 Saratoga Trail. You know, this influenced the way the families and friends and the public processed information, you know, as it came out, you know, about what really happened. You know, the Ruzeck family, Sandy and Frank and Frankie Jr., all appeared on, as you probably know, Dr. Phil after finding out the information that was given to law enforcement. Graham Coder and Dave Baumhover went and interviewed Chris Watts at Doge Correctional Facility on February 19th, 2019, just about 4 years ago to this date. And they were absolutely devastated. You know, they sat there just weeping and through their tears said, "Oh my God, this is just, in reality, so much worse than we ever could have imagined. You know, it's like we're going through the whole process again." And well, my Lord, you know, if they weren't told with such great certainty from the get-go that things happened in a certain way, which law enforcement clearly did not have the evidence to show the certainty with which they presented, you know, the narrative, then, you know, they wouldn't have had to go through that all over again. And I think that is a real, just terrible, terrible tragedy. So, hey there, Mark Klein. Hi, Molson Man. Let's see who else is here that I didn't get a chance to say hello to. Oh, I forgot Molson Man. I said his name wrong. Hi, Sugar's Mama. How are ya? Thanks for being here, sweetie. Hello, Kimberly K. Spychalski. I like it. I'm not sure if I said that right, but very cool. Hi, Tracy Wheeler. How you doing? Thanks for being here. I like seeing you here. You're becoming a regular. Thank you for joining our live chats. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Hi, Ellen B. Hi, Gwendolyn Karen. So glad to see you here as well. I was hoping you were going to see the notification. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't have any live chats really yet this week. And hi, Sarah Latte. How are you? Nice to see you here as well. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see. I put out just one video. I have some more. I have lots more that are on the way. Hi, Kelly Mack. How are you? Nice to see you here as well. And the video that I put out yesterday or the day before is a review and a telling of the Skinned music video that was released just last week, about a week ago. That is based on it's by Skinned. It's just called Chris Watts. It's their 9th release music video. Skinned is it's a duo. It's two artists that create musical renditions of some of the most horrific stories in the history of humanity, like the Jim Jones tragedy, Columbine. So this is their 9th. And they created an absolutely haunting video. It's like a mini film and a music video, a song about the Chris Watts tragedy. It's compelling. It's like, wow. Hi, Mary. How you doing? Nice to see you here as well. Hi, Paula Nichols. Nice to see you here also. Let me see if there's anyone else I didn't get a chance to say hello to. I'm so sorry if I'm missing anyone. I hope I'm not. Sue Ellen, I know that I said hello to you in chat. Hi, how are you doing today? And okay, I think that's as far back as I'm going to go. So let me just share with you this little presentation I put together for you. And it is the top 5 reasons that I believe, and many of you I know agree, that this case needs to be investigated, not just by people talking about it on YouTube, but actually and officially by law enforcement if it is not being investigated right now. And, we do have some reason to believe that it could possibly be in the process of being investigated right now. Yet, of course, we do not know that. So let's see here. Here we go. All right. So, oops. So we're starting at the end here. Let me get back to the beginning. 19 slides of my synopsis of why the big reasons the Watts case should be investigated more. Make sure this is showing up for you on you. Yep, it is. Okay. So let's get to it. So the 5th reason is the weather and the ground conditions of Cervi 319. Now, I know that there are plenty of people out there that believe that it is possible that Shanann's body was not buried in that very shallow and tragic grave until after the time that we've been led to believe, which would be Monday, early morning, Monday, August 13th. And this is based on the autopsy reports, the weather reports, and a number of different things. I've always said that I don't feel like I am really at liberty to make some kind of I don't know what I think about this. As far as the autopsies go, I kind of stay away from them because I'm not a medical expert. I don't really know how to read an autopsy. I think there are some things that either trigger, as being truthful or not based on common sense. But the fact of the matter, the weather and the ground at Cervi 319 is, in fact, an issue that comes into play here. So, here we see a precipitation historical record from August 14th, 2018. So that is Tuesday. So you'll see here, the first chart shows the temperatures, which got quite high that day in August, which of course is going to come into play as far as decomposition and condition of the body that was buried. We also see that there is a drastic spike for precipitation. So that's the blue line chart there at 7 p.m. And after that drastic spike, there's a little spike, that occurs right around 8 p.m. What I thought was equally or more important, I'm not really sure, and I'll tell you why I say that in a minute, is the historical record of the wind on that date. Let's see. So I don't think that the date is on this slide, but I assure you this is for sure Tuesday, August 14th. So I would just like to bring your attention to, let's see, we're going about not even about halfway down this page. You'll see that there were wind gusts up to 53 miles per hour. So that's a really fast wind gust, and sustained winds of 38 miles per hour. And this is at 6:42 p.m. The time is cut off a little bit here, but that is what the time is. So when I did look at the weather, the historical records, I took information from the two closest weather recording locations nearest to Cervi, 319, and one of them was 0.9 miles away, and the other was 1.7 miles away. And what we found, here's the synopsis, was there was no rain on Monday, 8/13, and there was moderate rainfall on Tuesday, August 14th for at least 30 minutes, or 30 to 90 minutes. I don't know why it says 90 hours there. That's just a typo. So there was 0.3 inches of rain. And the winds, they were moderate winds with heavy gusts. And again, this was on Tuesday evening, up to 53 miles an hour. So we do know that the ground at Cervi 319 was, the consistency of the ground. It wasn't like, I live in central New York. The soil around here is very heavy. If the soil is wet, it becomes very heavy very quickly. But the consistency of the ground at Cervi 319 was more like sand. There's a few videos that I've seen of YouTubers actually going out there and digging their little paws right into the earth. And as they lift the sample of the earth up, you'll see that it sort of, falls through their fingertips the way sand does. It looks very much like sand. And those people that I'm referring to were Save Robbie and Dr. B of True Psych Ward. They do have videos out there where they went and actually showed us what the ground was like if you were to kind of dig your hand into it, okay? So I think that, the weather forecast and, the fact that Shanann's body was recovered, like 72 hours later or so with, just a few inches beneath the surface of the ground, I do think that is a considerable factor, just my opinion. So the fourth reason I think that law enforcement needs to continue to investigate this case is the pertinent digital activities that were not deeply investigated. And I mean, these were some really critical points during, the process of, the murders maybe happening right before or right after, when we are given a little bit of digital activity, but there is no really deep dive looking into that activity. So one of them I have listed here is the early morning hours of Monday, August 13th at 2:18 a.m., when we see that there is some activity on the home router, but we're never given any more detail as to what exactly that home activity is. Now, this could have made a big difference. Was it Chris Watts' phone? Was it Shanann's phone? Was it somebody else's phone? Was somebody else connecting to the home router? We don't know. We were never told. So another point that bothers me personally, and I know bothers a lot of other people, was at 7:18 a.m. on Monday morning, August 13th. Here it says in discovery from the relevant timeline, Watts took a photograph of his laptop screen, presumably sitting in his truck. Now you see here that underneath the time of 7:18, there is a 41. That represents that this information was taken from item 41 in the phone extraction. Item 41 was Chris Watts' personal phone. Most of the other information that we have recorded from that morning is from his work phone. So it's kind of interesting that this one item, it's one of 3 items from that Monday morning that show up in discovery, as being from his personal phone. It's only one of 3 items. Now, we also know that Nicole Kessinger told Kevin Kobach during her interview when she showed up at the Frederick police station when she was scheduled to just bring her phone in, but she ended up sitting there for a few hours. She told Kevin Kobach that she had asked Watts for some proof of where he was at that morning, and what he sent to her was this picture and a text that he had going on between himself and one of his coworkers. So you'll notice here the note from the digital analyst says, the metadata confirms Watts was at the Cervi coordinates. This image is apparently only in thumbnail format, and enlarging it blurs out the writing on the laptop screen. So based on that note, what do we know? We know that it was a picture that had writing on it. He took a picture of something on his laptop screen, and that which was on his laptop screen had writing, because it is noted here. And, also questionable is really, so even if this image was in a thumbnail format, you couldn't get any more information about it, really. With all of the capabilities that digital forensic analysts have these days, I personally just don't buy it. So now we have physical evidence that was also not analyzed. So here I have listed a few different things that I find to be troublesome, and some of them you will recognize. Let's go to the list of the items that were collected. Let's see here. So they're itemized in a few different places. Here I have noted, that's kind of a note for myself, on page 1805 of Discovery On, it does list all these items, but there is also a more concise place there listed. And where is that? Oh. Let's see. I had it right here. Give me 1 second here, please. Scrolling down, scrolling up. So much information in Discovery. Some of it is very helpful. Some of it is kind of like absolute crap. Let's see. So, all right. Well, there were a number of pieces of evidence that were retrieved from Cervi 319, from the house, and from Chris Watts' truck. But what is, really important here is that, I'll get back to that in a moment, is that, Tammy Lee herself, the lead representative from the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, infamously said when she made an appearance on Criminal Confessions on the Oxygen Network that Chris Watts stopped the clock when he gave his plea deal. Now, when we talk about this, I always correct Miss Tammy and I say, well, it's not really true that Chris Watts stopped the clock. It's more like Rourke stopped the clock when he agreed to accept the plea deal, because that was a decision that was always in Rourke's court. He did not ever need to accept the plea deal. In fact, many people, including myself, wonder why, if he was going to be accepting that plea deal, why did he not make a condition of the plea deal? Well, Chris Watts needs to fess up and tell us what happens, and it needs to be a version of the reality that aligns with the evidence that we have. That was never done. So what I recently realized, it was actually during a live stream when we were talking about this, that really bothers me is, all right, well, Miss Tammy Lee says, the clock was stopped when the plea deal was accepted. We're going to put my version of that in there. Now, the guilty plea was not made until November 6th, but CBI, the agency from which Miss Tammy Lee comes herself, refused to send the already collected evidence in for analysis on September 4th, which is a full 2 months before the plea deal was made. So what's up with that? When I realized that, the evidence was refused a full 2 months before the plea deal was made. That little ditty that Tammy Lee told us about the clock stopping with the plea deal just doesn't really hold as much water for me anymore. So you'll see here that these are the items that CBI refused items that were already collected in evidence, but they refused them on, it's noted right here, September 4th, 2018. So let me just read this to you guys. It should be noted that on 9/4/2018, while running through the evidence submission list with the lab tech Patricia Lopez, several items were listed that the CBI lab ultimately did not wish to take possession of at that time. Read, they were deciding to not analyze this stuff at that time. What is up with that? Those items are crossed out of the evidence submission form, which has been added to the case file to make it nice and neat for you. The refused items are as followed: the oral swabs from Celeste Watts, the control swabs from Celeste Watts, the oral swabs from Bella, the left palmar swabs from Bella Watts, the right palmar swabs from Bella Watts, the control swabs from Bella Watts, the right palmar swabs from Shanann, the left palmar swabs from Shanann, the controls from Shanann, and most notably here, these last 3 items, okay? The driver's side seat cover from the work truck, the trace lifts from the center console of Chris Watts' work truck, and the trace lifts from the backside, the driver's seat backside of the work truck. Well, now certainly here, if these items were analyzed when the evidence was collected, the analysis of the evidence would have shown almost, definitively if Bella, Celeste, and Shanann were in the work truck or not. Because remember, we do know that Chris Watts' work truck had regulations around it from his company, Anadarko. The work truck was not to be used for personal, traveling unless he specifically had permission, and he was not allowed to have passengers in the truck unless it was somebody from the company for reasons of liability. So we can assume that, Shanann, Celeste, and Bella were not riding around in this truck. It was against company policy. It was not allowed according to company policy. So if they were to have found DNA from Shanann, Bella, and Celeste on those trace lifts from the center console, or my God, the back seat, we would have known if they were in the truck or not that morning. And there would not be a question around when and where these poor souls' lives were taken. Was it taken at the residence or out at Cervi 319? That question would not have been lingering out there for months, with a family believing one thing only to later find out another. I think that's a terrible tragedy myself. Let's go on to the next slide. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, there we go. And here we go. Sorry, I lost my bearings here. All right. So we also have this, and this is about the apprehension and preservation of some of the surveillance footage taken from neighbor Nate's camera. So we have, it says on August 14th, 2018 at approximately 9:15 a.m., Officer Dahl was asked to respond to 2905 Saratoga Trail, so that's neighbor Nate's residence, to obtain a video from Nathan Trinistech. Detective Baumhover gave 3 times to check: 1:45 a.m., 5:30 a.m., and 12:47 p.m. Now, there's some issues with these times themselves, but we'll go into that a little later. Nathan showed Officer Dahl the video footage. Officer Dahl recorded the video footage and will have it attached to the case file. Nathan was asked for all video footage for the 13th. Nathan said he would have his wife contact Xfinity and have the video footage transferred. Nathan said he would contact Officer Dahl when the footage was available. Nathan provided a phone number of redacted. No further information, and this is from Officer Dahl's report in Discovery. So we go in Discovery, we go on to look at another piece of a submission. The following information was documented at the time it was gathered. The date of this report is not indicative of when the investigation occurred. On 10/1/2018. So now we're talking, guys, listen to this. We're talking October 1st, 2018, a clear month and a half after this tragedy occurred. I served a court order for production of records to Comcast Xfinity, and this is Dave Baumhover saying this, requesting any and all surveillance recordings captured by Nathan or Nate Trinistitch's home security system. Nate's home is located directly east or next door of the Watts residence. Having not yet received the records from Comcast by October 24th, 2018. So let's get this straight. Baumhover requested these surveillance footage records from Xfinity on October 1st. All right, Xfinity gets this request in from the Frederick Police Department. Presumably they know what crime this pertains to. And it is 3 weeks later on October 24th when they still haven't received it. So now, guys, get this. Seriously, let's think about this. So it is now October 24th, 2018. This is over 2 months after this crime occurred. And the police department knows that there is all of this video surveillance footage out there, yet they have none in their possession. What? Like, if we're talking sloppy investigation, this example right here might be the epitome, the pinnacle of sloppy investigation. So in Discovery, this report goes on to say, I contacted Nate via telephone regarding the surveillance video clips retained to his personal computer. Thank God for neighbor Nate, right? Nate agreed to provide me a copy of the video clips and upload them to the flash drive that I provided. It should be noted that prior to contacting Nate, I learned there were several more video clips retained by him that were not obtained previously. What? This is over 2 months later. Why do you not have your hands on this stuff? I just can't even get over this. At approximately 1630 hours, so 4:30 p.m., I met with Nate and his wife, Alethea, at their residence, redacted, and provided them the flash drive. As Alethea was dubbed the more technically savvy of the two, she agreed to upload the videos to the flash drive while I waited and spoke with Nate. While speaking with Nathan, I learned he had observed Watts walk out of the side gate and leave there, in parentheses it says Watts residence, white Lexus that was parked down the street east of his residence. Nathan said Watts did this when Shanann was visiting family in North Carolina. I asked Nathan if he had provided this information in a previous interview with an officer or agent, to which he responded he had not. I asked Nathan if he was willing to be interviewed by the Frederick Police Department and have it recorded. He said he was, and he agreed to me on 10/31 at 1400 hours. So listen, neighbor Nate knows this information, that he has this video and he himself had spotted Watts walking out the shady side entrance of the house and walking down the street where the Lexus was parked, although it usually was not parked there. And law enforcement didn't have this information on file. Well, once again, man, shame on them. It's not up to Nate to contact law enforcement, to badger them, to say, hey, I think that this is pertinent to the case. Please put this on your official file. It is up to them to properly interview any and all relevant witnesses or possible perpetrators to this crime and make sure that they have all relevant information on file, ready to go when it is time to make decisions about the future of those involved in committing this horrific, horrendous crime. I just think this is all very disgusting. So the report finishes up with saying, with the flash drive containing the video clips, I returned to the police department and uploaded them to the digital case file. I also provided the drive to evidence supervisor Amanda Purcell for the purposes of uploading and transferring it to the Weld DA's office. Subsequently, I entered the flash drive into evidence locker number 4. Nothing further. Well, thank you, Baumhover. Thank you for that. So this next report from Baumhover says, at approximately 10:50 hours, I met with the residents of Redacted, Dave something or other, and Betty. Initially, I met with Dave at his front door and asked him about the car that appeared to leave his driveway at approximately 5:15 on the morning of Monday, August 13, 2018. Dave said he normally leaves for work around 6:30 to 7, and on that morning, he left around 7. Initially, Dave said no one else in the household left prior to him. I asked Dave if he saw Watts that morning, to which he stated he had not, but he offered information that Watts had parked his truck in the driveway several times recently when normally he parked in the street. I told David a neighbor's security camera showed that the car appeared to have left the driveway around 5:15 a.m. Had left their driveway he's talking about. David, this time around, said that the car was likely his wife's, and she normally leaves between 5 and 5:15 to work out at the gym. I'm speaking with Betty. I learned that morning she left at 5:15 and noticed Watts' truck with the lights on. She thought it was unusual because they're typically not on that early. Betty offered information about a barbecue they had at 1900 hours Sunday evening, so at around 7 p.m. on 8/12/2018, and never heard or saw Bella or Celeste during that time. So, we know that supposedly they were home. This would have been in hours or shortly after the birthday party that they attended that day. She did see Watts a couple of times as he was cooking something on the grill, but the girls never appeared to walk outside. My meeting with Betty and David ended shortly after, nothing further. So again, this is really long after the crime occurred, that they are getting this extremely important information on the official file. I just think this is so. Going on now to number two reason that this needs to be investigated or reinvestigated by law enforcement is law enforcement's dishonesty with the public. And then also, what happened with the shadows that were found by the armchair detective of the kids that, in my opinion, triggered the interview that occurred at Doge Correctional Facility on February 19th of 2019. So I played most of the footage of the law enforcement press conference with you in the beginning of this live stream already. And then we can also take a look at, let's see. So this is actually from Armchair Detective's channel, and this is just, him showing and talking about the footage of the shadows that he found, and I believe this. I believe this is how it went down on neighbor Nate's security camera footage.
Concentrate right now. Under the truck, small, thin, moving shadow. Then look above the truck, you see Chris Watts bend down, pick it up, and put it in the front seat. You might be able to see it better in black and white. Have a look at this black and white version.
Yes, in this black and white one, you can see it very clearly what he does.
Surely that's a child. To me, that shadow is a walking, small person. I can't get away from that. Have a look in this X-ray version. And the best way we can look at it is in this black and white, slowed down version. It really does look like a walking child, doesn't it? Tell me if I'm wrong. Let's have your thoughts on it. What do you think it is? Can you come up with a better reason? The shadow walks that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can really see it there. What do you guys think? And I'm going to link that armchair detective footage in the description box. I really do, really and truly do give armchair detective a lot of credit for finding those shadows. And I believe, in my opinion, it did change the narrative about this case. And Debbie McLean says, very good point, my darling, and Watts confirms it. So hi there, Yarn and Mittens, super cute name. And let me just see if there's anyone else here that's new that I haven't said hello to. Yarn and Mittens, Hurt Locker 66. Hi there, how you doing? Hi, Anaphylaxis, how are you? I'm not sure if I said hi to you yet. Maybe I did last time, I'm not sure. But Anaphylaxis is one of AD's mods, and she can also attest to the fact that, things went down the way that they did. Armchair Detective found these shadows. It was about a month later that Tammy Lee, Graham Coder, and Dave Baumhover went to re-interview Watts at Doge Correctional Facility. Very interesting. Hello again, Gail and Mark and Donna G and Sugar's Mama and Gwendolyn. And okay, I think I'm going to stop scrolling back up. So what do you guys think of that? So let's see. So Yarn and Mitten says, Sugar, I think it's, it's box size and walk as well. I'm not sure what that means, but I didn't see the previous comment before that. So let's see. Kimberly says that she agrees. She thinks it was Bella. And Wendy Swain, yes, Leave Jim Alone is also a geologist. And hi Priya, how are you? Priya Jacobs, hello and welcome. Thanks for being here, sweetie. And she says she also sees that shadow there. Yeah. And Sugar's mama maybe sees that or doesn't, but she says she also has a gut feeling that that's Bella. I feel the same way. And Kimberly says she also thinks that it looks like Chris Watts picking up a child. I think that the consensus at least from the live streams that I've done on this channel is that most people, by large consensus, do in fact see that. And Colby says, Shanann and the kids were beautiful. And ain't that the truth? They were beautiful. They were beautiful on the outside, and they were beautiful souls who deserve to still be living out their God-given lives on this earth. And that is why we need to continue to look into this case and to implore law enforcement to reopen this investigation if it is not open right now. Donna G brings up another great point. Why was Leave Jim Alone not interviewed? I don't know, man. Why was he not interviewed? I mean, so here's the facts that we know about Leave Jim Alone. Nicole Kessinger, let's take a listen to some things that we know about Leave Jim Alone. Just give me 1 second here, and I'm going to pull that right up for you. Let's see. Find my own videos here. Just give me 1 second, my friends. Okay, so this is from a recent video that I uploaded just, within the last week. And this is, oops, don't play just yet. We're not ready for you, NK girl, my girl. This is a piece of law enforcement's interview with Nicole Kessinger when she talks a little bit about Leave Jim Alone and there being pictures of him on her camera roll, and also what she and Watts did the last 2 weekends in July, which is July 21st and 28th. I personally, on my channel, had given what they had done on July 4th and the weekend of July 14th a lot more attention. And the reason is those are the 2 dates when Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger both talk about Kessinger visiting the house and some interesting things happening thereafter. But this is also really important too. So this is going to be about 7 minutes long. I'm just going to share this with you, okay? With Kevin Kovac, Chris Watts' mistress talks about the last 2 weekends in July that she spent with him, the weekend of July 21st and July 28th. This is when Chris Watts and his mistress went to the Bandimere Speedway, and then the next weekend, they spent the weekend together at the sand dunes. Here, Kevin Kovac asks NK about her photos on her phone, and asks if one of the photos that he feels obviously is not Chris Watts, who is that, he says. And she answers, it's her friend Jim. Listen carefully. I want you to tell me in the comments below if you think this interview clip indicates that Jim was with Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger at the sand dunes on the weekend of July 28th? Or did Kevin Kovac just ask a question about who that mysterious heavyset man is in her pictures while they were talking about her going to the sand dunes with Chris Watts? I think there's some confusion about this interview audio clip, and I'm really interested to see what you guys think. Please leave a comment below, and thanks so much for watching, guys.
The weekend of the 21st, and this is how you'll know if my dates are lined up. I would base it off of this date and work your way backwards, but this weekend, I went to Bandimere Speedway with him, and I went and saw, I think it was called the Mopar Mile High Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been called Thunder on the Mountain. I don't know. It was the drag races, though, and it was Saturday the 21st.
Okay.
And we were there, like, the majority of the day. I think we got there, like, the afternoon, and we were there till it ended, pretty much.
Was that late in the evening?
Yeah, those things go pretty late. Like, it gets dark.
Okay.
Yeah, and we hung out there probably for a while. I think we were there for a little while. We ate there, so that's where we got.
So you ate lunch there?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Tacos.
Okay.
This is a really good bar, by the way. Yeah, so we did that, and then we went to Bandimere, and then I don't know what we did after Bandimere. I think we just went to the house. I'm almost positive. Like, I don't think we did anything after that because it was pretty late.
Okay.
And then on the weekend of July 28th through the 29th, we went to the sand dunes. We went to the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Down in Alamosa?
Yes.
July 28th, 29th. Did you guys stay anywhere?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Where did you stay?
Oh, we camped.
Okay.
We camped. I don't remember the name of the campsite, but if you just let me go through probably like my old phone Navel or like go through just the internet and try to look up campsites, I can probably come up with the name for you.
Let me ask you this. There was some attachments that when I was looking at some of your phone stuff today, although very limited, there's a man with a backpack. He's got a beard. He does not look like Chris to me in your photos. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, is he like a little heavier set?
Yeah, I'd say he's a little bit bigger.
Yes, that is my friend Jim. That is the one that I was with on the Monday and Tuesday of last week.
Okay. So there is some photographs. You mentioned the museum, the car museum. I think I remember seeing a couple photos of cars, and it didn't strike me as anything then. So there may be a little bit more on your phone than what I think. But there is definitely no photos of Chris.
And I don't remember seeing any pictures of the sand dunes. But so did you camp inside the national park there?
No, it was outside. I think we camped at Zapata Falls. I think that's the name of the campsite.
Yep, Zapata Falls.
Zapata Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's before you come to you turn off 160 and you're going towards the sand dunes, and then you turn off and kind of go up a 4-wheel drive road to Zapata Falls.
Yeah, that was like really gnarly one with all the switchbacks
Yep.
and rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
There. And so we camped there.
Was it like an established campground, or was it just dry camping?
No, it was an established campground. There's a campground up there. Like, you hang that left to go to Zapata Falls Trail, and then you go right, and there's like a big campground loop.
Okay. So that's where you guys were there.
Yep.
All right. Keep going.
And then we went to the sand dunes. Not the first day. So we got there fairly late on. How did we do that? No, that's right. So I need to think about this. I really need to think about this. So Saturday, we got there, we set up camp, and then after we set up camp, we went to the national park.
So you went and hiked the sand dunes?
Yeah, we tried, and I just remember it was super windy. Oh my God, the sand hurt so bad. It started raining. And we stayed even though the weather was bad, because there was like nobody up there. And so we did that for most of the afternoon. And then we came back to the campsite, and I showed him how to light a fire because he'd never done it before.
He'd never lit a fire?
No, he's never been camping before. He told me he'd never been camping before. And I was like, well, if you want to go, I'm trying to go to sand dunes. So that's why we went, because he said he'd never done it.
Okay.
So
did you guys visit any? There's not really very much stuff around there. There's no restaurants or anything in that area.
No, we did stop at I think it's called like the Oasis or something. It's like it's like on the way to the dunes. It's not in the park, but it's like on that road that you take to get to the dunes. And it's almost like a little gas station. And we stopped there and we rented a sandboard to go sandboarding on. And I think we got more ice for the cooler, and we got fireworks for.
So it's like a gas station?
Like to re-up on ice.
Who paid for it?
He did.
Okay, did you think you used the debit or the gift card again?
All right, so that's enough about that. But so you hear in that recording, excuse me, that and talks of, Kobach asked, who is a picture of this guy on your phone roll? Doesn't look to me like Jim. And she confirms that it's Jim. But, then he goes on to say that he didn't find any pictures of the sand dune. So the question that I was asking when Jim is sus. That's right, Mark Klein. when I posted that video was, so what do you think about that audio clip? Does that show that Jim was in fact at the sand dunes? Because there's this lingering question out there. Was Jim at the sand dunes or not? And hello, Agent 99. How you doing? Thanks for being here. Yeah, you're right. She is not very sad about the kids at all. She's more sad about herself. That's for damn sure. Was he there or not? So, I still think that we don't know the answer to that question definitively. I don't know. So I don't know. So anyway, let's go back to my prepared material for you. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we got that. And then, so this goes into, here's the number one reason why I believe that this case needs to be continued to be investigated, or it needs to be reopened for investigation by law enforcement, not just those of us on YouTube. Number one reason is, and there's so many little subcategories under this, that potential perpetrators were not investigated. Potential perps or witnesses, we should open that up to saying. So this goes along with leave Jim alone. Why was he not investigated? As we just heard in that sound clip, of NK being interviewed by Kobach, she says, oh, yeah, that's Jim. She doesn't say, oh, he was at the sand dunes with us, but she said, that's the guy who was at my house last Monday and Tuesday. Well, Monday that we're referring to is Monday, August 13th, when the family went missing and was likely murdered. Tuesday would be the day after when, she claims that she first learned that Shanann, Chris Watts' wife, was pregnant, and she then therefore decided to delete all of the text messages, which we all know is bullshit. We're not even going to go into that. But, if Jim was at her house on those two completely relevant and critical days, why was he not investigated? Let's just look at this on a very surface level of the connections between the people who were murdered and leave Jim alone. A family, a whole family, a pregnant wife and two little girls are murdered. The immediate and obvious suspect as to who committed this horrific crime is a husband, Chris Watts, who law enforcement really soon finds out was dating this woman, Nicole Kessinger, for a very short period of time. And then all of a sudden, his family is murdered. This woman, Nicole Kessinger, whom he was dating for a very short period of time, and then all of a sudden the family is murdered, had a guest at her house the day of the murders and the day after when she happened to delete all of her text messages from Chris Watts. And that is leave Jim alone. And leave Jim alone. They don't ever bother to interview. That is completely insane. So the number one reason this is all crazy is the potential perps and witnesses are not investigated. So here I ask the question, what makes the mistress shady? Or in my opinion, a potential perpetrator. And we have the fact that she deleted her text messages and destroyed evidence in the case. Her lack of willingness to give law enforcement information after knowing Chris's family was murdered. And then we have the infamous 616 ping on NK's phone, which I will forever think is a really huge deal. So let's listen to this little clip of NK being interviewed by Kobach. This time, this was the first time they were in the police station. Or was it the second time? I'm not sure. Let's see which one I'm going to be playing. Hold it. I've got it saved here, but I can't remember which one I picked. This is... Well, here, let me just play this little clip for you.
I remember everything we talked about. We were there for a few hours.
Understand so if I ask about conversation, what I'm looking for, was he talking about his family during any of these meetings? Those are the kind of, I understand, whatever you guys were talking about, relationship, your life, your interests, those things, we don't need to know that. What I'm interested in is knowing is when he brings up his children, when he brings up his wife, when he brings up financial information, when he brings up his home, when he brings up anything that may have been, and it's been a few days, so you've had a chance to reflect on some articles that you may have read, and unfortunately, that you're in a situation where somebody has been murdered. And that information, when you look backwards in your memory with the conversations with Chris, anything that he might have said that would be relative to that, and I'm not just, even if one day he was mad and he said, I want to do this or do that, anything like that, if he ever made any kind of statements that you were like, whoa, that was weird, or why would he say that, or why did he mention that? Do you understand what I'm
No,
looking
I
for?
completely understand. I just feel like some of this happened so long ago that I can't tell you like the exact words of the exact conversation at the exact time and place, because it's like we had a lot of conversations. I mean, we talked every single day. So it's like I'm trying to help you guys with the stuff like the stuff that's more current. I can give you guys a lot more like detail and exact times. But when you're asking me about something that happened 6 weeks ago and exactly what was said, it's like, I mean, I'm sure I can give you a general idea, but to be honest with you, like to pinpoint exact words, it's not going to happen.
I'm not looking for exact words. Just more, let's say 6 weeks ago, he said something that triggered with you last night. That's what I'd be looking for. Or something 4 weeks ago. And if you don't remember where it was or the specific words, that doesn't matter. Just he said something that was off the wall, or he said this or he said that has caused you a moment to pause and you go, wow, I wonder why he said that. Now knowing what you know today. Do you understand where I'm going with that?
I completely understand. And to be honest with you, I mean, there were several discussions that we had about his current relationship and where it had gone and what it had caused. And he talked about his kids from time to time. But the thing is he was never hostile. It was never anything aggressive. Like even when he spoke of his wife and the fact that they were separating, it was never like ill. It was still very kind. It was just like, this is not working, and would explain why, but it wasn't anything.
Okay, so that little sound clip, in my opinion, just really goes to show her reluctancy, her hesitancy, or her unwillingness to share information with law enforcement. Now, which content did he stay in? Now this was, so this was the second time that she and her father were in the police station, because this was after, they knew what happened after the family had been murdered. And even after knowing the absolute tragedy and outcome, of everything that was being investigated, she was still so unwilling to, give any information about her relationship with Chris Watts. And it's just really crazy, in my opinion. Let's see. Just reading through some of your. Yeah, so Anaphylaxis says, yeah, she thinks that the ping is a big deal too. So, I mean, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with this ping. I almost don't even need to make a slide about it, but actually can't even read this very well. But, you can see here, about 3/4 of the way down the screen, there is that morning of August 13th, Monday, August 13th, the phone pings at 6:16 a.m. in Frederick, Colorado. We know that during the time span of this investigation, it's pinged in Frederick, Colorado 3 other times, and those were all more or less explained. 2 of them, she was admittedly at Watts' house, and the other one had to do with picking up some paint for her car. And this is, completely, absolutely unexplainable. No reason for this to be happening other than, why else would she have been pinging in Frederick, Colorado? It was not on her way to work. Hi, Jess. How are you? She also thinks that the ping is a big deal. Thanks for being here. And yeah. So let's see. Debbie McLean says, he knew she went to the football game, or I think it was a baseball game, on Friday night. When did she tell him that? And he never mentions anything about her having a guest on the weekend. Right, because wasn't Danielle there over the weekend? That's interesting too, right? Why don't we ever hear anything about that? Mark Klein, you're really into where did Jim sleep, right? It's funny. Oh my goodness. Hi, Rascal Flats. How are you? Nice to see you here. Thanks for being here. So, let's see. Let's see. Hi, T. Torres. How you doing? Nice to see you here as well. You can add that number 1 slide, the part about where NK walks out of the garage like she owns the place. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. For sure. You can, yes, that should definitely be in that as well. Let's see if we can actually take a look at some of that, okay? Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to just play another little clip of NK, then I'm going to go to that footage that T. Torres is correctly talking about here. Just want to zoom in a little better than I had for you last time, because I found I was able to do that. Let's see. Get back to you guys. Ding, ding, ding. Okay. Let me just get to the right spot in this interview. Okay, it's right around 28 minutes. It's an hour and 28. Let's see.
That are there. And we'll write that specifically down here. Understand that.
I don't want anybody to get some of those.
Okay, so this is when, you know, they're asking her about getting her the information extracted from her phone, okay?
If you don't understand what it means, then ask me the question. But basically what it says is you have the right not to let me look at your phone. I'm asking to look at your phone for the purposes we've previously discussed, for the text messages and your phone log, and unfortunately the photos that are attached there too. That information is only relative to this investigation. I'm not looking at anything else except for the conversations between you and Chris Watts, and the phone data between you and Chris Watts for phone calls, for times and dates for those phone calls. And then the content of the text messages that are there. And we'll write that specifically down here. Understand that.
I don't want anybody to get some of those texts. Like, they have nothing to do with this case, and they're just like.
Between you and Chris?
Yes, they're just.
So just tell me what you're.
They're just kind of raunchy.
Okay,
like, I don't need anybody.
Everybody's an adult.
Posted like
we're not gonna
somewhere.
Post it.
I don't want the newspapers to get that. That's all I want.
The only ones that we would be looking for, again, is the same kind of questions we're getting to here. Is things about his children, things about his wife, the questioning of, did he ever, has he ever said something to you that might indicate, maybe not then, but now, that there was something like this in his mind, or you know what we're looking for. I don't need to come out and tell you that. I understand the embarrassment of particular photos or potential sexual types of conversations you may have had with Chris. It's not relative to the investigation. We don't care. Okay, you're an adult. I'm an adult. Everybody in this room, even your dad, and I give it to you for saying that stuff in front of your dad, because I'm not sure many women could do that. So that's not what we're after. We're after the information that corroborates things that you've told us, and also that corroborates or may tend to prove that things that Chris told us were a lie. You understand that? And that's maybe going a little bit far. I usually won't tell people that, but because of your reservations, that's what I'm looking for. If I can disprove something he's told me by a phone records don't lie. People do. Okay? So if I can disprove something that may be important, that's what I need it for. I'm not saying I can. Has it happened before? Absolutely. Is it critical in cases that I've worked in the past? Yes. So that's why I want it. Okay? Again, you don't have to give it to me. You can tell me, I don't want you to have it. Go get a warrant. I'm not even going to tell you if I go get a warrant, try to get a warrant right now. I'm just asking for you to consent. And again, we can write right here what you're willing to give me, which is the text messages and the phone log. And unfortunately, again, the attachments on some of those text messages. And I'll write it on there, and then you'll just sign it. Okay? Do you understand the questions there? Do you have questions about any of the things that it says? You understand you don't have to do this. You're doing it of your own free will.
Dad, pipe in.
And I know you're tired, so if you want to let your dad read it too,
He will. Thank you.
that's a good idea.
Can you fill it out before I sign it?
Yep. And just you read it. If you have any questions, then we'll put on there what we're after.
I'm so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
She hadn't been feeling good. Not because of any, just.
Like, I got sick prior to
Jim.
this whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding with the fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Who cares? Seriously.
Yeah, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case, because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations. But on the other end, I think if you do just that only,
You tell me what you're willing to provide to me, and we'll
is that
write it
good
up.
enough?
I just want like our text conversation and then I guess our phone call records.
So I'm gonna put.
So the time and date of the phone call records and then our text message.
Could we get photos of him?
Huh?
Could we get photos of him?
Off of
Would you
that?
mind if we got his photos that he sent to you?
Oh, well, they'll be in that text message thing.
So all his photos were sent. There was no apps or anything else used
No,
that you
no,
guys
no,
were
no,
sending.
no,
It was
no.
all just text messages.
Yeah,
So it'd be an attachment to a text that he sent you.
pretty much.
But
Everything is in the text and the phone call records.
so
Like all of it.
because we don't have it on tape, we discussed prior to turning the tape on Tuesday, which would have been the 14th of August. You had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
And yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day two, too, and she still wasn't home.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Blah, blah,
But you
blah.
just
We
lied to
know
me.
this is not true. So just some more fun and games by Nicole Kessinger. So since you brought it up, I wasn't planning a liar, pants on fire. I know, liar. Since you brought it up, T. Torres, let's just take a look at this really quickly, and this will be the last thing we take a look at on this live stream. I'll set up another one very soon for you guys. Hi, Susan J. How are ya? And Agent 99 brings up this point that I had heard before, that she sold the car that she had been driving 2 days later, which that is definitely very true. This is cute. Rascal Flat says that the Popo needs to investigate. NK doesn't know her full name. It's Nicole Kessinger, or it was. The person formerly known as Nicole Kessinger. And Mark Klein accurately points out me. Yes, that's what that woman is all about, right? So we'll just take a look at some of the footage of NK strolling out of that driveway or garage like she owns the place. So this is slowed down to 25%, and I did, let's see, this is me just playing around with some of that. Let's see if I can get you full screen here. Okay. So here is just, with the color untouched, and then after that I did black and white. So let's just take a look. Oh, what happened here? Wait a minute, friends. Try that again. Okay. Huh. Come on. Let's bring her back. Okay, so this was a nocturnal view, which I don't think really turned out that well. Okay, then there's a little black before I go to the next one. So this next one will be with a regular color untouched at 25% speed. Oh, wow. I just really feel like here, we just see a woman's figure. I feel like I can almost see like the hairline and ponytail. What do you guys think about that? Well, I'm just going to let it play through to the black and white, and then I'll go back to your comments, okay? So this will be black and white at 25% speed. So you can see that again. Okay, again, black and white, 25% speed. So, you know, there we have it. I mean, I've messed around with this footage so much, guys, and I know a million other people have. I fear that I don't know if we're ever going to get it much more clear than that. You guys are funny here in chat. Oh, all right. So with that, guys, I am going to end this live stream. I've got some laundry to do and a couple other things before work and school tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you to the channel's moderators. You guys are totally awesome. Hi, Linda Land. How are you? You just got here and I'm ending this. Let's see. Oh, wait. What do you say here? How can anyone look at a ponytail in purse and think it was yeah, I know. I feel like the purse, in my opinion, it sort of to me looks like something having to do with like a reflection, but maybe it is a purse, I'm not sure. But I really do think I see that hairline and ponytail. So I really wish we could all get it much clearer, but I don't know if we ever will. So thank you so much to everyone in chat. And I will be setting up a live stream either with Smart Thursday, probably for Friday night. So I hope you guys can make it then. And I look forward to seeing you then. Take care, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you, moderators. You're the best.